So choosing a subject for me is usually one of the most difficult parts of my painting process. And it's very difficult particularly when I'm doing workshops, because I have to try and consider things like whether or not the subject is appropriate for the students, whether they'll be able to cope with it, whether they'll be able to cope with it in the time restraints that we've got, whether it's teaching the lesson of the day. But when I'm choosing a subject matter for me to paint just for me, oh man, it's great. So what I do is any idea I could be listening to a song and I hear the words of the lyrics of the song and that sets off an idea. I might be watching a movie and that sets off an idea, or I might drive past a billboard and that will set off an idea. And so I've always got a sketchbook with me and I write down all of these little notes, and when I get painter's block, I just go to my sketchbook and I've always got something to paint. So the subject for this painting was inspired by a recent trip to visit our grandkids. We went down to visit our grandchildren and they're just the most precious things. We take them out for a walk and they'd fill their pockets full of stones and feathers, and we took them off to feed some bread to the seagulls, and I believe that they ate more bread than the seagulls. But what started the idea for this painting is one of the girls went up to the seagull and asked it if it would be its friend, and I instantly thought that would make a great painting. So the idea was that I wanted to paint a painting that was impossible. It seemed impossible for an adult to do, but seemed extremely plausible for a child to do, to make friend with something that was wild and free. So I have a sketchbook with me all the time, and I just write down my ideas, and the idea for this painting about making friends and the innocence of children. So I quickly wrote that down, and I thought about how I could portray a child making friends, and I came up and I thought, well, let's see if I can get a child making friends with a rabbit. And then I thought about a little puppy wagging its tail, and then I started thinking, it's all been done before. What about maybe a snail? And then I thought, I like it, and I really like when our granddaughters sit down in this yoga position. They just plonk down and it seems so natural. So then I developed that idea, and then I thought, well, what about a newborn lamb? And then I thought about a butterfly or a bird, and then it clicked. What about a bird that you can't because of the seagulls? But the seagulls were too big and they would have taken up most of the painting because I really wanted to focus on the figure. So a cuter, smaller bird. What's a cuter, smaller bird? What about sparrows? And so the idea just developed from there. And then I thought, well, what about a flying sparrow? And so basically that was the evolution of how I came about the subject for this painting.